Ethan Moore arrived on the alien station without ceremony or noise. The transport doors opened with a soft sound, and cool air flowed across the landing deck. The station was quiet, built with smooth curves and pale surfaces that reflected light gently instead of sharply. Ethan stepped forward with a small bag in his hand and a calm expression on his face. He had trained himself to move slowly in new places, to avoid sudden actions that might worry others. He was a guest, nothing more. Humans were still learning how to behave beyond their own worlds, and Ethan knew his role well. Observe, listen, and respect. He wore a simple uniform, free of marks or rank symbols. His dark hair was neatly kept, and his eyes moved with care as he studied the station around him. The station itself felt alive in a quiet way. Soft lights adjusted as people passed. Walls seemed to breathe gently, shifting color in slow patterns. Voices echoed lightly, never loud. Ethan noticed how everything felt balanced, as if the place was designed to keep emotions calm. As he walked forward, he focused on steady thoughts. He reminded himself to remain polite, thoughtful, and open. Still, his mind carried weight. He thought about past mistakes, small moments where words had failed or actions had caused discomfort. He thought about how easily harm could happen without intent. Lyra Hale stood near a curved walkway, watching arrivals with relaxed interest. She appeared young by her people's standards, with smooth features and eyes that reflected light like clear water. Her clothing was simple, flowing fabric meant for comfort rather than display. She was assigned to guide visitors when needed, but mostly she observed. Lyra was different from most. She could sense thoughts without effort. It was not something she turned on or off. Thoughts brushed against her mind like passing air. Most were dull or sharp in unpleasant ways. Fear, hunger, anger, pride. She had learned to ignore most of it. When Ethan passed near her, something changed. She paused. His thoughts touched her awareness and she felt something unexpected. There was kindness there, steady and warm like a small light. But it was mixed with regret. Not heavy regret, not loud. Quiet regret, carried carefully as if he did not want it to burden anyone else. Lyra blinked and turned her head slightly as he walked by. Ethan did not look at her directly. He kept his eyes forward, respectful of personal space. Yet his thoughts continued to reach her. He hoped he was not causing trouble. He hoped his presence was welcome. He wondered if his people had already made things harder for others without realizing it. Lyra felt no threat. Instead, she felt curiosity. She had sensed many humans before, but most carried loud thoughts. Pride, fear of judgment, or hidden anger. Ethan's mind was different. His thoughts moved slowly, carefully. Even his regret was gentle, shaped by care rather than guilt alone. She watched him walk further into the station, blending into the soft light. Ethan paused near a wall display that showed the station's layout. He read it carefully, making sure he would not wander into restricted areas. He felt relief that the station felt calm. Still, his mind returned to old memories. A failed conversation. A misunderstood gesture. Moments where silence might have been better. Lyra felt those thoughts too, faint but clear. They made her chest feel warm in a way she did not expect. She stepped forward. "Human guest," she said softly. Ethan turned at once, startled but polite. "Yes," he replied. Her voice was calm, curious. "Do you need guidance?" He nodded slightly. "That would be helpful. Thank you." Their eyes met briefly. Lyra felt his surprise at being addressed so kindly. She also felt his concern, wondering if he had done something wrong. He had not. As they walked together, Lyra kept her focus steady. She did not push into his thoughts. She simply allowed them to pass as they would. Ethan spoke little, asking simple questions about the station and its customs. He listened carefully to her answers, repeating them quietly to remember. His thoughts remained gentle. Lyra realized she was smiling. It was a small smile, barely noticed. But it stayed as they moved through the quiet halls together, two beings from distant worlds sharing a moment shaped by kindness and unspoken understanding. Iria walked beside Evan through the long corridor of the station, keeping her pace calm and even. The floor beneath them was smooth and warm, shaped to soften sound. Lights above shifted slowly, responding to movement and breath. To anyone watching, it looked like an ordinary walk between two strangers. To Iria, it was something far more rare. Evan's thoughts continued to brush against her senses. They were clear, not crowded or sharp. Most minds she sensed felt tangled, filled with noise that pressed and pulled at her awareness. Evan's mind felt open, like a quiet room with windows left wide. His thoughts moved one at a time, slow and careful, as if he chose each one before letting it form. He wondered if he was walking too close. He hoped his silence was not rude. He worried that his presence might be tiring. These thoughts carried no demand. They asked nothing of her. They simply existed. Arya had never felt anything like it. She focused forward, afraid that if she looked at him too long, he might notice something was different. But Evan already felt it. He noticed the way her steps matched his, then slowed. He noticed the way her breathing stayed calm, yet her attention felt close, almost gentle. He felt heat rise to his face. Had he thought something wrong? Evan's thoughts shifted suddenly, becoming smaller, more careful. He felt embarrassed without knowing why. He replayed his last thoughts, searching for anything that might have caused discomfort. He remembered wondering if her voice sounded kind. He remembered hoping she was not tired of guiding him. Was that too much? He lowered his eyes slightly, his shoulders drawing in just a bit. Arya felt the change at once. The clear flow of his thoughts tightened, not in fear but in concern for her. He felt sorry, deeply and quietly, even though he did not know what he was apologizing for. That feeling touched her more than she expected. Arya slowed her steps and gestured toward a resting area beside the corridor. "We can pause here," she said gently. "The station allows rest for guests." Evan nodded quickly. "Yes, thank you. I did not want to rush you." They sat on a smooth bench shaped from the wall itself. The space felt calm, wrapped in soft light. Evan placed his hands on his knees, careful to appear relaxed. Inside, his thoughts continued to turn. "I hope I did not offend her. I should be quieter. Maybe humans think too loudly." Arya felt a strange warmth spread through her chest. He believed his thoughts could disturb her, yet he did not blame her for reacting. He blamed himself instead. That alone made his mind different from most she sensed. She studied him more closely now. His face was open, honest. There was no hidden edge to his emotions. Even his embarrassment was soft, like a folded apology waiting to be offered. "I hope I am not being rude," Evan said at last. She looked at him. "Why would you think that?" He hesitated. "You seemed aware. I'm not sure how to explain it. I thought maybe I made you uncomfortable." His thoughts echoed his words perfectly. No lies. No hidden defense. Arya took a slow breath. She did not explain her ability. Not yet. But she chose her words with care. "You did nothing wrong," she said. "Your presence is calm." Evan blinked. He felt relief, sudden and strong. His shoulders relaxed and his thoughts opened again. "Thank goodness. I did not want to be a burden." That thought made Arya smile just slightly. They sat together in silence for a moment. Evan did not fill it with noise. He let the quiet exist. His thoughts drifted to simple things. The way the light reflected off the wall. The steady rhythm of the station. How peaceful it felt compared to crowded human spaces. Arya realized she could rest near him. That alone told her how unusual he was. She had sensed minds that shouted even when silent. Minds that pushed and demanded space. Evan's mind made room for others without effort. He did not even realize he was doing it. Evan stood slowly. "Whenever you are ready," he said. Arya rose as well. "This way," she replied. As they continued walking, she felt a new understanding forming inside her. Humans were often judged by their actions alone. Few considered the shape of their thoughts. Evan showed her that intent could be gentle even before words were spoken. Behind his embarrassment was care. Behind his silence was respect. Behind his apology was kindness. And without knowing it, Evan had already said more than words ever could. Ethan noticed the change before Lyra said anything. It was small, almost nothing, but he felt it clearly. Her steps slowed by a fraction. Her breathing shifted. The quiet space around them felt tighter, as if the air itself had become careful. Ethan did not know why, but his chest warmed with concern. He wondered if he had crossed an unseen line. He lowered his eyes at once. It was not submission or fear. It was respect. Humans had learned, through many mistakes, that sometimes the safest thing to do was to step back without being asked. Ethan did this now, his gaze resting on the smooth floor as they walked. His shoulders relaxed and his hands stayed still at his sides. Lyra felt the shift immediately. His thoughts softened even more, folding inward instead of reaching outward. There was no defense in him, no attempt to explain himself. Only a quiet wish not to cause harm. That wish brushed against her senses like warm light through thin fabric. Ethan slowed his pace to match hers. "I hope I didn't do something wrong," he said quietly. His voice was low and steady. Not forced. Not dramatic. Just honest. Lyra stopped walking. Ethan stopped too instantly. He did not look up right away. He waited, giving her space without knowing why. His thoughts turned inward again, gentle and unsure. Maybe I spoke too much. Maybe I spoke too little. Maybe my thoughts are loud. He felt strange thinking that last one, but it stayed with him. I'm sorry, he said. The word came out soft, almost fragile. He did not attach a reason to it. He did not ask for forgiveness. He simply offered the apology as it was, plain and open. Lyra turned to face him. She felt the honesty behind his words before she fully processed their meaning. The apology carried no fear of punishment, no hope of reward. It existed only because he believed someone else might be uncomfortable, and that mattered to him. She studied his face. His eyes remained lowered but not closed. His expression held no tension, only care. Many beings apologized when they were caught or cornered. This was different. You don't know what you are sorry for, Lyra said gently. Ethan nodded. That's true. Then why apologize? He thought for a moment. His thoughts moved slowly, clearly. Because I felt something change. Because I don't want to be the cause of harm, even by accident. I felt like I might have, he said. And I wanted you to know it wasn't my intention. Lyra felt something settle inside her. Most minds she sensed were layered with excuses. Even when words sounded kind, thoughts often argued back. Evan, no, Ethan held no such noise. His thoughts and words aligned in a way she rarely encountered. What he said was what he meant. She took a slow breath. You didn't hurt me, she said. Relief washed through him at once. It was strong but not overwhelming. He did not rush to fill the space with thanks or questions. He simply accepted her words. His shoulders eased and his thoughts returned to a calm rhythm. I'm glad, he said. They stood there for a moment, the station quiet around them. Light shifted softly along the walls. Other beings passed at a distance, unaware of the small exchange taking place. Lyra realized something then. Ethan's apology was not a reaction. It was a habit. He apologized not because he was weak but because he paid attention. He noticed discomfort even when it was barely visible. He cared enough to respond without being asked. She had sensed many humans. Some were loud. Some were guarded. Some were curious in ways that felt sharp. Ethan was different. His mind carried responsibility like a quiet promise. She felt her lips curve upward. It was not a wide smile. Just a small one meant for herself. Ethan did not see it. His eyes were still lowered, giving her time. That too mattered. You can look up, Lyra said. He did, carefully. When their eyes met, Ethan felt something ease inside him. He did not know why this moment felt important. He only knew it did. He met her gaze without pushing, without retreating. Thank you for telling me, he said. For listening, she replied. They resumed walking side by side, the space between them comfortable now. Ethan's thoughts moved freely again, but they remained gentle. Lyra allowed them to pass without resistance. She did not feel tired. She felt calm. As they walked, she understood something new about humans. Sometimes their greatest strength was not what they did, but what they noticed. And sometimes, a quiet apology said without reason carried more truth than any explanation ever could. They spent time together in quiet corners of the station where movement slowed and sound softened. The days did not feel measured by clocks but by shared pauses, short walks, and calm talks. Ethan never rushed. Lyra noticed this first. He waited before speaking, listened longer than needed, and never filled silence just to escape it. That alone made each moment feel lighter. They sat often near a wide window where stars drifted slowly past. Ethan liked watching them, not with excitement but with focus. He thought about distance, about how many lives existed beyond his sight. Lyra felt those thoughts as gentle waves, not pressing, not demanding. She found herself sitting closer without meaning to. They spoke of simple things. Food. Weather patterns on their worlds. How rest felt different in quiet places. Ethan shared stories of Earth without pride. He spoke of crowded cities and quiet parks, of people who tried their best and failed often. He did not hide flaws. Lyra felt honesty in every word. One cycle, after a long silence, Lyra made a choice. There is something you should know, she said. Ethan turned fully toward her. His body language showed attention without pressure. I'm listening, he said. She took a slow breath. I can sense thoughts. His reaction was immediate but gentle. Surprise, yes, but not fear. Curiosity, not defense. His thoughts stayed open, steady. He did not pull away. You mean emotions? He asked. Thoughts, she replied. Surface thoughts. Intent. Feelings before words. Ethan nodded slowly. He looked down for a moment, not in shame, but in reflection. Lyra felt his concern rise, soft and careful. Have I caused harm without knowing? I'm sorry, he said again quietly. This time Lyra smiled fully. You don't need to be, she said. You are easy to sense. He looked up. Is that good or bad? Good, she answered without hesitation. They talked longer then. Lyra explained how most minds felt loud, crowded, sharp at the edges. How she learned to shield herself to stay calm. She told him how his thoughts felt different. Clear. Gentle. Like someone knocking instead of pushing. Ethan listened without interruption. He did not question her experience or doubt her truth. He asked careful questions only when invited. His respect was not forced. It came naturally. I never meant to project anything, he said. I know, Lyra replied. That's why it feels safe. That word stayed with him. Safe. He had never thought of his mind that way. From that day their time together deepened. Ethan became more aware of his inner voice, not to hide it but to understand it. Lyra felt his effort and appreciated it, though she never asked for change. She only asked for honesty and he gave it freely. They shared meals, quiet walks and long looks into space. Nothing dramatic. Nothing loud. Just presence. For the first time, Lyra felt understood by a human. Not studied. Not feared. Not praised. Understood. And that understanding stayed. He apologized not because he was weak but because he paid attention. He noticed discomfort even when it was barely visible. He cared enough to respond without being asked. She had sensed many humans. Some were loud. Some were guarded. Some were curious in ways that felt sharp. Ethan was different. His mind carried responsibility like a quiet promise. She felt her lips curve upward. It was not a wide smile. Just a small one meant for herself. Ethan did not see it. His eyes were still lowered, giving her time. That too mattered. You can look up, Lyra said. He did carefully. When their eyes met, Ethan felt something ease inside him. He did not know why this moment felt important. He only knew it did. He met her gaze without pushing, without retreating. Thank you for telling me, he said. For listening, she replied. They resumed walking side by side, the space between them comfortable now. Ethan's thoughts moved freely again, but they remained gentle. Lyra allowed them to pass without resistance. She did not feel tired. She felt calm. As they walked, she understood something new about humans. Sometimes their greatest strength was not what they did, but what they noticed. And sometimes, a quiet apology said without reason carried more truth than any explanation ever could. The day Ethan left the station arrived without announcement. There were no ceremonies, no speeches, and no crowd to mark the moment. The station continued its quiet rhythm as it always had. Lights shifted softly. Voices remained low. Life moved forward without pause. Ethan stood near the departure gate with his small bag resting by his feet. He wore the same simple uniform he had arrived in, now creased slightly from use. His posture was relaxed, but his thoughts were heavy in a gentle way. He looked around the station one last time, letting his eyes follow the smooth curves of the walls and the calm flow of people moving past. He felt grateful. He also felt small. Ethan believed he had done nothing important during his stay. He had not solved problems. He had not changed policies. He had not left any mark he could see. He had listened, learned, and shared quiet moments. To him that felt ordinary. He assumed the station would forget him quickly. Lyra stood at a distance, just beyond the flow of travelers. She did not approach him right away. She wanted to observe this moment as it unfolded, to understand it fully. Ethan's thoughts reached her clearly as they always had. They were calm, reflective, and touched with quiet doubt. I hope I didn't waste their time. I hope I didn't misunderstand anything. I hope I didn't matter too much or too little. That last thought stayed with her. Ethan picked up his bag and checked the gate display. His transport would depart soon. He felt a small ache in his chest, though he could not name it. He told himself it was only the end of a visit, nothing more. People came and went from stations like this every day. Still he slowed his steps. Lyra finally moved closer. Your departure window is soon, she said. Ethan turned and smiled. It was a familiar smile now, easy and warm. Yes, I should go. They stood facing each other, the space between them calm and unstrained. Ethan did not rush to fill the silence. He waited as he always did. I wanted to thank you, he said at last. For what? Lyra asked. For listening, he replied. And for trusting me enough to explain things. I know that isn't easy. His thoughts matched his words perfectly. Gratitude without expectation. Appreciation without need. You listened too, Lyra said. That matters. Ethan nodded. He felt relieved, though he did not fully understand why. He shifted his bag onto his shoulder and glanced toward the gate again. People were lining up now. The moment was ending. Well, he said softly, I guess this is goodbye. Lyra inclined her head slightly. Safe travel, Ethan. He hesitated, then spoke again. If I ever made things uncomfortable without knowing, I'm still sorry. He smiled a little, embarrassed, as if apologizing had become second nature to him. Lyra felt the truth of it wash through her senses. The apology carried no weight of fear or shame. It was simply part of who he was. She felt her lips curve upward. I know, she said. Ethan gave a small wave and turned toward the gate. As he walked away, his thoughts followed a familiar path. I hope I was respectful. I hope I didn't stand out. I hope I didn't matter too much. He joined the line and moved forward slowly. When the transport doors opened, he stepped inside without looking back. He did not expect anyone to watch him go. But Lyra did. She stood still as the doors closed and the transport pulled away from the station. She followed its movement until it disappeared into the dark beyond the viewing window. The space where it had been felt quieter than before. Around her, life continued. Others spoke, walked, and worked. No one commented on the human leaving. No record marked the moment as special. Yet Lyra remained where she was. Ethan's thoughts faded as distance grew, but their impression stayed. His mind had been like a calm stream passing through her awareness, leaving no damage behind. Instead, it had left clarity. She reflected on everything he had shared without realizing it. His care. His patience. His quiet apologies offered without demand. His belief that he was unimportant. That belief was wrong. Ethan had shown her that understanding did not always come from great acts or loud words. Sometimes it came from attention. From noticing discomfort before it was spoken. From apologizing even when no one asked. She felt something warm settle inside her chest. Lyra smiled quietly. It was not a smile meant for others. It was not pride or joy alone. It was recognition. She understood now that some connections were brief but lasting. Some people passed through lives without leaving visible marks, yet changed things all the same. Ethan would return to his world believing he had been just another visitor. But Lyra would remember him as something rare. A human whose thoughts were gentle. A human whose apologies were real. Some apologies were not meant to be heard aloud. They were meant to be felt.